The house on Hollow Creek Road had been silent for years, until the Morrises moved in. Anna Morris had always dreamed of leaving the city. So when her husband, Jacob, found the rundown colonial-style home nestled between dense pines and fog-choked fields, she felt like fate had led them there. It was old, yes. It creaked a little too often, sure. But it was theirs. They moved in during the fall. Orange leaves blanketed the yard. The air smelled like pine and old wood. Their kids, 10-year-old Lily and 15-year-old Ben, were less enthusiastic, glued to their devices, half-bored and suspicious of their new ancient home. But for the first few weeks, things were peaceful. Then, the nights began whispering. It started subtly. Anna thought it was just her imagination. In the still hours, when the wind paused and even the crickets held their breath, she swore she heard faint scraping beneath the floor. Not above, not beside. Below. Jacob blamed it on raccoons, or maybe the house settling. These old places have personality, he chuckled. But when the noises came again, louder, more frantic, Anna didn't laugh. One night, while Jacob was away on a short work trip, Anna sat up in bed at exactly 2:37 a.m. A deep thud echoed from beneath the floorboards. Then another. Like fists pounding wood. She rushed downstairs, heart hammering, convinced someone had broken in. But the doors were locked. Nothing was disturbed. Except, the basement door was slightly ajar. She hadn't opened it. That morning, she called Jacob in a panic. He told her to calm down, maybe get some sleep. But even Ben began to notice the strange noises, scratches like nails dragging across wood. Lily, who had the bedroom closest to the stairs, whispered to her mom, "There's something under my floor at night. I think it's listening." Anna decided to investigate. With a flashlight in hand and Ben following close behind, she crept into the dim, musty basement. Cobwebs hung like curtains. The air smelled of mildew and rust. Old wooden shelves lined the walls, filled with forgotten tools and dusty cans. But the floor was solid. No crawl space. No animals. She was about to dismiss it all, until Ben pointed to a strange bulge in the far wall. A panel. It didn't match the rest of the basement's stone structure. It was made of rotting wood. Painted over years ago. There were scratches on it. Long, jagged, and desperate. Anna's skin prickled. She stepped closer and pressed her ear to the wood. Silence. Then, a single knock. She jumped back. Ben grabbed her arm, whispering, "Mom, what was that?" She didn't answer. She couldn't. They sealed the basement shut that night, sliding a heavy cabinet in front of the door. Anna told the kids it was just an old vent or pipe. Nothing serious. But she didn't sleep. She sat awake, listening. At 3:03 a.m., the house gave a groan. Then a loud crack, like old bones snapping. She went down the stairs slowly. And this time, she heard breathing beneath the floorboards. Shaky and wet. Hungry. Morning came. Jacob returned. She told him everything. He humored her, agreeing to check the basement properly. That afternoon, he moved the cabinet, opened the door, and froze. The wooden panel was wide open. It wasn't yesterday. And where it had been, there was now a gaping hole in the stone floor, leading into a darkness so thick, it seemed to swallow light. "Was this here before?" he asked. Anna didn't answer. Her mind screamed no. Her heart agreed. But the house stayed quiet. Watching. From the edge of the hole, Lily peeked down. Something moved. And then it whispered her name. Jacob slammed the cellar door shut. "We're not going near that hole again," he said, trying to sound firm, but Anna could hear the fear in his voice. They moved the heavy cabinet back into place. No one slept that night, not really. The wind howled through the trees outside, branches scraping the windows like bony fingers. But inside the house, it was worse. Much worse. Because now, the scratching had returned. Only it wasn't faint anymore. It wasn't something you had to be still to hear. Now, it was loud. Deep. Deliberate. Coming from beneath the living room floor. It started around 1 a.m., sharp and fast, like claws raking across wood. Anna stood frozen by the staircase, clutching Lily close. Her daughter whimpered, "Mom, they're trying to come up." Anna wanted to tell her not to be silly, that it was just mice or raccoons again. But she couldn't lie. Not after what they'd seen in the basement. Ben, flashlight in hand, tiptoed into the living room. He pointed it toward the floor. And that's when they saw it. In the center of the room, where the old wooden floorboards curved slightly downward, the planks were moving. Slightly. Just enough to be wrong. A rhythmic pulse, up, down. Up, down. Scratch. Scratch. Thud. "Something's under there," Jacob whispered, wide-eyed. "Something big." Anna was already dialing the sheriff, but of course, the call dropped. No signal. Just static. The Wi-Fi was gone too, out for hours now. Jacob tried the landline. Dead. They were cut off. By morning, the scratches had stopped. But they left behind something worse, marks. When the family dared to lift a loose plank near the movement site, they found deep gouges in the subfloor. Finger-width and erratic. As if something had been digging up, from below. Jacob called in a friend, a local handyman named Ross who lived in town. He came that afternoon with tools and a quiet laugh, amused at what he thought were just old house stories. "Probably rats or raccoons," he muttered, prying open more planks. "Seen it 100 times." But when Ross opened the third section near the fireplace, he stopped smiling. There was a hole, and something inside it. Something wrapped in tattered, blood-stained cloth. Everyone leaned in. Ross pulled it out slowly. It was a hand. A rotting, severed human hand, flesh leathery and gray, nails black and curved. Lily screamed. Ross dropped it and stumbled back. "What the hell is this?" Anna grabbed the kids and pulled them into the hallway. Jacob stared down at the open floor, eyes wide in horror. "Ross, seal it. Seal everything. Now." Ross didn't need convincing. He hammered the floor shut and nailed every plank tight. Then, at Jacob's insistence, they poured concrete over it that same day, right over the boards. Ugly, but necessary. "Whatever's down there," Jacob said grimly, "we're not giving it a way out." That night, the scratching didn't stop. It got worse. Anna lay awake in bed, clutching Lily while Jacob sat in the hallway with a shotgun across his lap. Every few minutes, there was a knock beneath them. Sometimes it was far off, under the kitchen. Then it moved, under Ben's room. Under the hallway. At 3:12 a.m., it stopped. Then came a new sound. Laughter. Soft, broken. Like someone gasping and chuckling all at once. Ben burst into their bedroom, pale and trembling. "There's someone whispering under my floor." Jacob grabbed his gun and raced into Ben's room. Silence. Then the floor creaked. The floorboard behind Ben's desk began to bulge upward. Slowly. Like it was breathing. Jacob fired. The sound shattered the night, but the thing under the floor didn't scream. It didn't retreat. Instead, it laughed again, raspy, guttural, and impossibly close. Then it stopped. When morning came, the family gathered in the living room, too afraid to be alone. Ross never came back. Anna called his number, no answer. Jacob drove into town to find him. Ross's truck was still parked outside his small cottage, keys inside. But the house was empty. The front door hung open. And on the living room floor, written in something dark and thick, were the words, "Underneath is hungry." Jacob ran back to the car, heart pounding. Back at home, Anna had just discovered something horrifying. In the corner of the living room wall, a new crack had appeared. And something was oozing out of it. Something black. Thick. and moving. Anna stood frozen in front of the wall, staring at the slow trickle of black liquid. It moved like thick oil, but shimmered slightly in the light, as if it were alive. She called Jacob, her voice trembling. By the time he got home, the ooze had vanished, leaving behind nothing but a dark stain on the cracked plaster. No smell. No wetness. Just absence. It's spreading, Anna whispered. Whatever's under this house, it's trying to get out. Jacob didn't argue. That night, they made the kids sleep in the master bedroom. No one was left alone. Jacob stayed awake, gun in hand. Anna sat with her back against the door, eyes fixed on the hallway. The silence grew oppressive. Then, just past midnight, the sound returned. Not scratching, this time. Tapping. Slow. Precise. Rhythmic. Like long fingernails on hollow wood. Jacob crept into the hallway, following the noise. It wasn't coming from above or beneath now, but inside the walls. Anna joined him as the tapping moved, one wall, then another, like something circling them from within the very structure of the house. Then it stopped. They stood still, hearts pounding. Bang. A thunderous knock echoed through the house. It came from the basement. They didn't want to go down. But they had to. Jacob led the way, flashlight cutting a path through the pitch black. Anna followed closely, heart racing, every step heavier than the last. At the bottom of the stairs, the air was ice cold. The basement was exactly how they'd left it, almost. The cabinet was still in place, but behind it, the wall looked different. The once rotting panel was completely gone, as if it had never existed. The bricks that once lined the wall were cracked and crumbled, revealing something behind them. A door. Wooden, ancient, reinforced with iron bars and black bolts. It was covered in strange symbols, etched into the wood like carvings done in haste. Most of them were scratched out, smeared, or burned away. What the hell is that? Anna breathed. Jacob knelt beside it, brushing away dust. There was something else on the floor, an old, crumpled photo. He picked it up. A black and white picture of a family. The faces were scribbled out in ink, except one, the girl. She looked eerily like Lily. That's when they heard it again. Whispers. Faint, like voices traveling up from a deep well. Male. Female. Some crying. Some chanting. And one, sharp and clear, "You found it. Now you must feed it." Jacob stumbled back. They ran upstairs and sealed the basement shut again. Nailed the door. Blocked it with furniture. But the voices didn't stop. They could still be heard, through the vents, the pipes, the walls. By morning, Lily wasn't herself. She sat at the kitchen table, staring blankly out the window, mumbling under her breath. Her cereal went untouched. Anna leaned in. "Sweetheart? What are you saying?" Lily didn't look at her. Her lips moved slowly. Under the floor, in the dark, they wait for the light to die. Anna grabbed her shoulders. "Lily, what did you say?" But Lily blinked, confused. "What?" "I didn't say anything." That same afternoon, Jacob went into town for help. He returned with an old man named Harold, a retired historian and local folklore buff. He'd lived in Hollow Creek all his life. When Jacob showed him the photo and described the door, Harold turned pale. "This house," he said, voice shaking, "was built on the land of an old sanatorium. Burned down in 1912. Rumors said they kept patients beneath the building. Some kind of treatment, experimental. Illegal." Anna asked, "What kind of experiments?" Harold looked down. "They were trying to cure death." No one spoke. He continued. "The survivors sealed it off. Buried it under concrete. But some say, they didn't bury the dead. Just locked them away." Anna felt sick. Harold handed Jacob a yellowed map of the land, decades old, barely legible. On it, marked in faded ink, was the old sanatorium. And right where their house now stood, a square marked storage wing, sublevel B. There was a note scribbled beside it, "Do not open the trap." That night, Anna dreamed of the trapdoor again. Only this time, she was beneath it, cold, trapped, and surrounded by moaning figures. They didn't have eyes. But they were smiling. When she woke, she realized something terrifying. The photo of the girl, Lily's lookalike, was gone. And in its place, scratched into the wall above her daughter's bed, were the words, "She remembers." Shall I continue with part 4? Jacob stared at the wall above Lily's bed, his heart thudding like a drum in his chest. The words "she remembers" weren't just scratched, they were gouged deep into the plaster, as if by fingernails. Below the writing was a faint, smeared handprint. Small. Child-sized. Anna pulled Lily close, shielding her eyes. "She's not going back into that room," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Not after this." They packed up quickly, moving the kids into the guest room. It was the only space left untouched by the whispers, the scratches, the spreading black marks. Jacob showed the photo to Harold again, desperate for answers. "That girl," Harold muttered, squinting. "She looks like—" "No, it couldn't be." Anna interrupted. "Like who?" Harold looked uneasy. "There was a girl who went missing during the fire. Her name was Clara. One of the youngest patients. Rumors say she was different, she didn't die like the others. She changed." "Changed how?" Jacob asked. Harold leaned in. "Some say she learned to hide. To survive under the ground. Some say she never left the sanatorium at all." Anna felt her stomach twist. Harold continued, "They believed she could whisper to the dead. That she drew them to her. That she could bring them back." Jacob clenched his fists. "Are you saying Clara is under our house?" "I'm saying," Harold said slowly, "whatever was done to her down there, it never ended. That house wasn't built over silence. It was built over her memory. That night, the house was unnaturally cold. Doors creaked even when no wind blew. Objects shifted. A framed photo of Lily fell from the mantel, glass shattering, her face split right down the middle. Lily began talking in her sleep again. But the words weren't hers. They're close now. Closer than ever. The gate is thin. The floor will open again soon." Anna recorded her. In the morning, she played the audio back, but there were 2 voices. Lily's, and something else. Whispering along with her. Mimicking her words. Mocking them. They decided to dig. To uncover the truth and end it. Jacob, Ben, and Harold returned to the basement, armed with shovels, crowbars, and a sledgehammer. They cleared the concrete, then pried up the floorboards. The door they had seen earlier was gone. In its place was a trapdoor. Iron-rimmed, with a large rusted ring in the center. No symbols. No warnings. Just silence. Jacob looked at the others. "We open it, or we let it open on its own." Harold nodded grimly. "Better to be ready." They lifted it. The air that escaped was foul, wet and decayed, as if they'd torn the lid off a crypt. Below, a spiral staircase descended into darkness. They tied a rope to the beams and lowered a lantern. It swayed in the pitch black, revealing stone walls, a dirt floor, and old iron chains bolted into the rock. It was a cellar. A hidden one, beneath even the basement. And it wasn't empty. On the far wall, scrawled in dried blood, was a single word. "Feed." Ben turned away, gagging. Harold said nothing. His hand clutched a small leather-bound journal he had found wedged in the trapdoor frame, its pages yellowed and brittle. He flipped through them quickly. "These are notes from one of the doctors," he said. "They were testing a theory. If the soul could be suspended, if death could be tricked into delay." Anna read over his shoulder. "It says they used children, the pure, the innocent, as conduits. Kept them on the edge of death. Forced them to act as gates." She looked up, horrified. They made Clara a vessel. Jacob turned to the trapdoor. She's still down there, isn't she? Harold nodded slowly. Part of her, yes. And what's left of the others, they never left her side. Suddenly, the lantern below flickered. Then it went out. Something breathed up from the hole. Anna ran to the kids. Get out of the house. Now. But as they reached the front door, it slammed shut. Locked. Nailed from the inside. They were trapped. And in the darkness, from beneath the floorboards, came a slow, guttural chant. The gate is open. The gate is open. The gate is open. Then came footsteps. Not from upstairs. Not from outside. But from below. Shall I continue with part 5? The floorboards vibrated. Just slightly at first, barely enough to notice. But the vibrations grew stronger, pulsing like a heartbeat beneath their feet. Jacob gripped the crowbar tighter, backing away from the open trapdoor. Whatever's down there, it's moving. Harold muttered something under his breath, an old prayer or chant, as the cold air pouring from the cellar thickened. It wasn't just air anymore. It was presence. It wrapped around them like unseen fingers, crawling up their spines and squeezing their lungs. Anna clutched Lily and Ben, dragging them into the kitchen. We need to get out. Now. Jacob yanked at the front door. It wouldn't budge. Anna tried the windows. Nailed shut. From the outside. Harold opened his old journal again, flipping frantically. There's a mention here, when the vessel stirs, the gate is no longer sealed. If you hear the words, do not speak them back. Jacob looked confused. What words? From the trapdoor, they came again. Soft. Hypnotic. The gate is open. The gate is open. Lily's voice joined in. Her eyes were glassy. Her mouth moved on its own. Anna gasped and shook her daughter. Stop. Stop saying it. Lily blinked, dazed. I didn't mean to. It was like someone was in my head. Then, a sound no one expected, scraping. Bone on wood. Nails dragging slowly up the underside of the trapdoor. Jacob slammed it shut and braced it with the crowbar. But even as he did, it thudded from below, something large, angry, and hungry pressing against it. Harold flipped the journal again. There's something about a binding object. A token used in the ritual to trap Clara's spirit. If it's still in the house, we could use it to seal the gate. Anna's voice was shaking. Where do we even begin to look? Lily whispered, the dollhouse. Everyone turned. She pointed upstairs. The girl from the photo, she showed me. In my dream. She kept something in the attic. In the dollhouse. Jacob didn't ask questions. He ran up the creaking stairs, with Anna right behind. They entered the attic and flipped the old light switch. Dim yellow light buzzed to life, casting long shadows. In the corner sat a massive, antique dollhouse. Dust-covered, but intact. It resembled their house perfectly, even had a tiny cellar door painted beneath it. Anna slowly opened the back. Inside was a single doll, hand-stitched and worn. Its eyes were buttons, its mouth just black thread. And around its neck, strung on a thin silver chain, was a key. Anna lifted the key. This must be it. To the binding chest or box, whatever they used. Just then, from the corner of the attic, a child's giggle echoed. They turned slowly. There was no one there. But when they looked back at the dollhouse, the cellar door on the miniature had opened on its own. Suddenly, downstairs, Jacob screamed. They bolted back down. Jacob was lying near the trapdoor, blood trickling from his temple. The crowbar was gone, and the trapdoor was wide open again. And rising from it were figures. Human, but broken. Bones twisted, skin pale and rotted. Their eyes empty sockets, their jaws slack with hunger. And in the middle of them, a little girl. Clara. Her hair hung in wet clumps. Her dress was soaked in something dark and thick. But her eyes were glowing white. She looked straight at Lily and smiled. "You found my key," she said softly. "Now the others can eat." Ben grabbed a kitchen knife. Anna pulled her children close. "Stay behind me." Clara's head tilted. "No need to be scared. I'm not here for you." She raised a finger and pointed at Lily. "I'm here for her." Lily stared, trembling. "Why me?" Clara whispered, "Because you're like me. You remember. You see." Then, the creatures lunged. Jacob recovered just in time to push one back into the hole. Harold shouted, "Use the key. Find the binding box." Anna scanned the room. The fireplace mantel. Something had always been odd about the centerpiece, a heavy black box with no visible lock. Decorative. Untouched for years. She grabbed it and slammed the key into a nearly invisible hole beneath. It clicked. A sudden gust of wind burst from the trapdoor, sucking air into the cellar like a reverse vacuum. The creatures howled, fighting against it. Clara screamed, not in fear, but rage. "No! Not again!" The box pulsed. Light poured from the seams. And slowly, the figures were pulled back, howling into the darkness below. With one final scream, Clara vanished into the void, and the trapdoor slammed shut. Silence fell. Only their panicked breathing remained. Jacob, bleeding and bruised, sat up. "Is it over?" Harold held the glowing box, face pale. "For now. But you don't trap something like Clara forever." Anna looked at her daughter, eyes wide, still shaking. Lily whispered, "She's not gone. Shall we continue with part 6? For the next 2 days, the house was still. No footsteps from the basement. No chance. No cold breath crawling up their necks. The trapdoor stayed sealed beneath layers of concrete and heavy furniture. The black box remained locked and pulsing faintly, tucked into a steel case in the garage. But something felt wrong. Lily wouldn't speak much. She stared at corners, flinched at mirrors, and whispered to herself when she thought no one was listening. Sometimes, she would hum the same lullaby Clara had been humming the night they opened the gate. Ben kept the radio on at all hours, desperate to drown out the silence. Jacob, with his bruised ribs and stitched forehead, buried himself in fixing the damage. He reinforced windows. Added deadbolts. Changed all the locks. Anna stayed close to Lily. One night, while brushing Lily's hair, Anna noticed something, tiny bruises on the girl's neck. In the shape of fingerprints. "Lily," she said gently, "did someone grab you?" Lily shook her head. "No. She did it in my dream. She didn't mean to. She was just showing me." Anna's blood ran cold. "Showing you what?" Lily blinked slowly. "Where she used to live. Before the hospital. She said there are others. Like her. Hidden in places people forget." Anna stood. "We're leaving this house." Jacob didn't argue. Neither did Harold. The next morning, they packed everything they could and loaded into the car. But as Jacob turned the key, the engine gave a dry cough. Then nothing. Harold popped the hood, only to find it gutted, wires chewed through, as if by animals. Or teeth. Anna ran to the phone. No dial tone. They were cut off again. Jacob stood in the hallway, hands on his head. "We're not staying here another night." "I have a cabin," Harold said suddenly. "Old place up north. No one knows about it. We can hike there, but we'll have to go through the woods." "Let's go," Jacob said, grabbing his pack. Now. They left the house by noon, heading through the dense forest behind their property. The trees were still, the air unnaturally quiet. But even in the open, away from the cursed basement and the shadows under the floorboards, Lily kept glancing behind them. "She's following," she whispered. Ben looked back. "Who is?" Lily didn't answer. Hours passed. As dusk fell, they reached a clearing and stopped to rest. Harold lit a small fire. Anna made sandwiches. The warmth of the flames brought some comfort, until Lily stood up and walked toward the edge of the trees. Jacob followed. "Lily?" She pointed to the ground. There, in the dirt, were footprints. Small. Bare. Too small to belong to any of them. They kept moving. The darkness thickened around them, and the woods seemed to shift, paths doubling back, landmarks vanishing. By the time they found Harold's cabin, it was nearly midnight. It was small but sturdy, built of stone and pine. A fireplace, a single bedroom, and an attic above. It felt safe. Normal. They didn't speak much. Just locked the doors and tried to sleep. But at 3:17 a.m., Lily began to hum. Softly. That same lullaby. Anna woke instantly. "Lily?" The girl stood at the window, staring out at the woods. "She's here," she said. Jacob and Harold jumped up. Ben reached for the fire poker. From outside came the sound of cracking twigs. Then breathing. Not animal. Not human. Dead. Jacob peeked out the curtain. In the distance stood a figure. A girl. Hair hanging over her face. Skin gray. Dress soaked in black. "She followed us," Harold whispered. "The gate didn't close. We just moved the doorway." The black box began to rattle in Anna's backpack. Clara raised her head. Her eyes still burned white. But this time, she wasn't alone. From behind her, more figures stepped out. Dozens. Rotting. Twisted. Silent. Their mouths moved, but no sound came. Lily turned away from the window and said calmly, "She wants me to open the box." Anna backed up. "No. We can't." Lily smiled, an expression too calm for a child. She said it's not a prison. Everyone froze. She said it's a doorbell. And then the black box let out a chime. Soft. Hollow. Like something answering from far below. Then came the sound. Knocking. From under the cabin floor. The knocking started slow. 1, 2, 3 sharp raps from beneath the cabin floor. Then silence. Everyone in the room froze. Lily stood in the center, her fingers brushing against the black box nestled in Anna's pack, her head slightly tilted, listening, as if she heard a voice no one else could. Anna rushed forward and zipped the bag shut. "Don't touch that again." "But she's calling me," Lily whispered. "She says I'm the only one who can let them through. The ones she left behind." Harold's face went pale. "She's a vessel. The child. That's what this has been about all along. Clara isn't the end. She's the key." Jacob backed up, pacing. "We should have destroyed that thing the second it started glowing." "You can't destroy it," Harold muttered. "It's not just some cursed object, it's anchored to this world." That chime we heard, it was an answer. Something knocked back. Ben pointed to the wooden floor. "We moved to escape the trapdoor. But this place has one too, doesn't it?" Harold nodded grimly. "There's an old root cellar. Beneath the cabin." The knocking came again. This time louder. 4 raps. Then 5. And then, scraping. Wood splintering. Anna grabbed Lily and pulled her close. "We have to go. Now." But when Jacob tried the front door, he swore under his breath. "It's stuck." Ben checked the windows. Frosted over. From the inside. Lily's voice became soft, distant. "She's here already." Inside the walls. Harold began rummaging through his old trunk, pulling out candles, salt, and a chalk circle etched with ancient symbols. "We need to ward this place. It won't stop them forever, but it'll buy us time." He began drawing the circle on the floor while chanting under his breath. The black box in Anna's bag thumped, as though something was inside, trying to get out. They placed Lily in the center of the circle. Harold lit the candles. "Don't leave the ring," he warned. But it was too late. From the far wall came a sudden, explosive crash as a rotting hand burst through the wood. Nails black. Skin pale. Bone exposed. Then another hand. Then a face. Clara. Her mouth twisted in a grin too wide for her face. "You brought her to me," she hissed. "You did what they couldn't." Jacob swung an axe he'd found near the fireplace and struck the creature, but his blade passed through her. Like smoke. Like memory. Clara stepped forward, ignoring the weapon. "You don't understand. I'm not here to kill her." Everyone turned. She looked at Lily. "I'm here to become her." With a scream, Harold hurled the salt across the floor, and Clara hissed as it struck her. Her form flickered and shrieked, retreating momentarily into the shadows. "Downstairs!" Harold yelled. "There's an altar in the cellar, it's from the old rituals. If we can perform a reversal, we might still sever her grip." Anna looked at him like he was insane. "You want to go deeper into this house?" Harold's voice cracked. "It's the only way." They gathered what they could, candles, salt, the box, and descended the narrow stairs into the root cellar. The walls were covered in moss and symbols. At the center was a stone altar, surrounded by jars filled with teeth. Bone fragments. Hair. A girl's belongings. Clara's. Harold laid the black box atop the altar. "We must make her choose. This world or the next. A vessel can't hold both." From the shadows, Clara emerged again. Her face no longer a child's, but a corpse's. Lips torn. Skin sagging. Her voice echoed from every corner. "She's already chosen." Then Lily screamed. Not in pain. In fury. Anna turned, and saw that her daughter's eyes were glowing. White. Like Clara's. "No," Anna whispered. "No, no, no." She opened the box, Clara said softly, as the black box clicked open. Inside was nothing. Just a mirror. Lily looked into it, and saw not herself, but Clara. "She's mine now," Clara whispered. But Harold grabbed the mirror and smashed it onto the altar. Light exploded outward, white, searing, and violent. Clara screamed, a terrible, raw sound, as the cellar shook. The walls cracked. Wind tore through the room. Lily collapsed, unconscious. Anna screamed her name. Jacob shielded them as the light consumed everything. And just like that, silence. The light faded. The wind died. Clara was gone. So was the box. Only the broken altar remained, and Lily, lying still. Then, she opened her eyes. They were blue. Normal. She blinked. "Mom?" Anna burst into tears. But Harold stared at the cracked altar and whispered, "It's not over. The gate may be closed, but something got out." Shall I continue with the final part, part 8? For the first time in days, the house didn't hum with whispers. Lily slept in Anna's arms, breathing slow and even, her skin warm, alive. Normal. The light that had exploded from the altar had burned away Clara's presence. The black box was gone. The mirror shattered. And the cellar, now just cracked stone and ash. The nightmare seemed over. At least, that's what they hoped. They left the cabin at first light, cutting back through the woods toward town. No more footsteps in the trees. No humming. No dead eyes watching from the dark. But there was a tension in the air. Something that made the birds stay silent. Something that made the trees lean just a little too still. By the time they reached the old highway, their shoes were caked with mud and blood, and their legs shook from exhaustion. Jacob managed to flag down a passing utility truck. The driver, an older man with a crooked nose, didn't ask questions. He just drove. By the time they returned to the town, the police had cordoned off the family's home. Yellow tape fluttered like warning banners. Reporters had come and gone. Neighbors whispered about screams in the night, about a girl missing for years. About sounds from beneath the floor. But no one knew the truth. Anna kept Lily close. She told the cops what she had to: an old squatter in the basement, a home invasion, trauma. Not the whole truth, but enough. They were placed in protective custody for a while, then quietly released. Weeks passed. Lily began sleeping again. Eating. Laughing. She even returned to school, though she sometimes paused mid-sentence, as if listening to someone only she could hear. Her eyes never glowed again. She never mentioned Clara. Jacob started therapy. Ben moved back in with his aunt. Harold disappeared. Vanished without a trace a few days after they returned. His cabin found ransacked, the altar completely destroyed. His journal missing. Anna thought things might finally be okay. Until the day she went to get groceries and came home to find Lily kneeling on the living room floor. She was staring at the floorboards. "Sweetheart?" Anna asked, setting the bags down. Lily didn't answer. Anna knelt beside her. That's when she saw it. The knots in the wood, those swirling dark whorls in the floor. Except one of them had changed. It looked like a face. Not carved. Not burned. Just grown into the wood. Eyes. Nose. A mouth. Smiling. Lily leaned in and whispered something. Anna couldn't hear what she said. "Lily," she asked. Her daughter turned. "She says it didn't end. Just moved." Anna's breath caught. "What moved?" Lily looked at the floor. The silence. Epilogue. In a small town 2 states over, a family settled into their newly purchased farmhouse. An old fixer-upper from the 1800s. Hardwood floors. A stone fireplace. A dusty attic. The previous owner had vanished years ago, they were told. Some old man, possibly a recluse. But the house was perfect. Their daughter, Mia, explored every room. Her favorite was the attic, where she found a box buried under a floorboard. It was black. Unmarked. And humming softly. When she opened it, a chime rang out. Far away, under someone else's floor. Something began knocking again. The end fire.